My name is Bailey Croman, and I'm the student representative for the Missouri Advisory Board for Educator Preparation. But since we're education majors and love acronyms, it's usually called MABEP. MABEP is comprised of representatives from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Department of Higher Education. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, also known as DESE, is represented by principals, superintendents, teachers who have worked with teacher candidates, and also a lawyer. He brings in an outside perspective. The Department of Higher Education, also known as DHE, is represented by deans, professors, and even myself, all who have something to do with the teacher education program, whether they're teaching it, experiencing it, or implementing it. As a student representative, I believe it's important to provide the student perspective of everything that's happening in the program. Who would know it better than someone who's doing all the work and tasks and everything in between? Once a month, I travel all the way to Jefferson City to discuss major issues in education. I drive 4 hours to get to Jefferson City, drive right past the Capitol building. I take the elevator to the 6th floor where the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education offices are located, and I walk down a long hallway and enter a conference room. There, we sit in a large square, all facing each other, and discuss major issues in education. The subjects we discuss range from year-long placement to cooperating teacher trainings. Currently, the major issue that we're discussing is culturally biased testing. We discovered this while looking through some of the Missouri Content Assessment scores. As an advisory board, we give suggestions for passing scores for teacher candidates to receive certification. Although we do not have final say, we do pass it on to the next person. While looking at the MOSCPA counselor scores, we noticed there was some inconsistency in the passing scores. The current passing score allowed 81 individuals who were white to pass, while only 59% of individuals who were black and 50% of individuals of other races were able to pass. This threw up some red flags. The race of candidates should not dramatically affect their passing ability. The fact that only half of the individuals of color were able to pass, while over 3/4 of white individuals were able to pass, is kind of crazy. The numbers were just not adding up. This is where the idea of creating an equality task force came up. How cool is it to say that we started a state-level task force? This set off our research to support why we needed a task force. Did you know that the Missouri teacher workforce is 91% individuals who are white and only 9% of individuals of color? And yet the student population is 75% white and 25% of other races. This is a large gap between 9% and 25% of individuals of color. The research shows that students learn better with a diverse set of teachers. Missouri has always noticed the achievement gap between students of different races. In July of 2015, DESE created the Educator Equity Plan and submitted it to the U.S. Department of Education. This plan talked about how diverse the state of Missouri is when it comes to teachers and students. It discusses rural, urban, low income, and number of years of experience of teachers in different areas of Missouri. Looking at this document, you can see how Missouri has not yet mastered providing equal education for all students, but they're working on it. They've created a goal and have a plan of how they're going to overcome equality issues. This document talks about equal and fair education for all students. MABEP is ready to start talking about equal and fair preparation for all teacher candidates. To start this task force, we want to clarify if it's the program or the test. We're first looking at the test. We're creating a task force of 3 individuals from DESE, 3 individuals from the Department of Higher Education, and then individuals from Pearson, the people who created the test. As a teacher candidate, I want everyone who wants to become a teacher to have the chance to become a teacher. If their heart is truly set on becoming a teacher, they deserve an equal chance to become one. Just think, this subject was just one discussion at MABEP, and there's so many more, and they all have to do with bettering the education experience for teacher candidates. If you have any questions about MABEP or becoming involved on the state level, feel free to email me. Just know that becoming involved is a little easier than you think.